slave away. I wanna break the cycle of my mama, them. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Thanks for tuning in. This particular video, I wanted to talk about the importance of fathers in their daughter lives, and the effects that, you know, a woman has growing up without her father, right? I know a lot of times we say men need their, you know, a boy needs his father, but we don't really look at the effects of a girl growing up with her father. So by now, a lot of you guys should know from watching my previous videos, I am a product of foster care. I am also a product of adoption. I kind of experienced a lot of things in my life, but as I'm getting older and I'm, you know, honestly wanting to settle down, get married and continue to build my family, I'm noticing a lot of issues that I have within myself. A lot of them honestly stem from childhood. Just from talking to, you know, a lot of people, and I actually, you know, have a therapist, right? It's very important that if we see that there's, you know, some issues or some difficulties that we're having and emotionally, that we seek help, right? It's nothing wrong. Your mental health is very important. And I feel like me growing up without a father in my life, prior to being 16 years old, was definitely detrimental. Once I got adopted, I did have a father figure, which kind of helped, you know, mold me and groom me. But I feel honestly at that point, a lot of my personality and a lot of things I went through, you know, it was kind of formed at that point. I just remember, you know, I met my biological father when I was 8. Prior to that, I did not have a father. My mom dated different guys, and you know, there was one particular guy who I guess was our father figure, but you know, my mom always told us who my father was. My siblings, we all had different dads, and to us, like, we would crack jokes. At least my daddy did. We, instead of your mama jokes, we would have your daddy jokes. And you know, I've always wondered, right, what my dad looked like, what it'll be, how would it have been, you know. And then one day I met him. He was not what I thought. You know, he made a lot of promises early on. Oh, I'm gonna come get you, we're gonna do these things, you know. Met him one day, you know, I think I spent the night at his house. I found out I had a brother, and then he was like, I'm gonna come back and get you next weekend. I hadn't seen him for another 4 years. And the way I found him is I stumbled upon, you know, at that point I was in foster care, and I stumbled upon a house. I was like, dang, this sounds so really familiar. And then I was like, that's my dad's house. Literally at this point I'm in foster care, right? Knock on the door, and sure enough, he was still there. So crazy story that I could talk about on and on for that. But honestly, I feel like because I didn't have that father figure in my relationships, I look for that, which is not their fault, but it's like you look for security, you look for a provider, and when you protection, and when you feel like you don't have that in a partner, it just causes so many issues. And we also put, you know, expectations on the partner that shouldn't be there, right? Like a woman having daddy issues, I will almost say is worse than a man not having a father, because we tend to seek, you know, validation in the wrong people. We seek validation in partners and want them to be our protector and our provider, and if they're not ready for that, it can just totally, you know, lead us astray. So it's important to kind of know that, and once you know that, you got to find things that you can do to kind of undo the damage, right? So for me, the first step that I wanted to do was figure out and find my biological father. So what was this? Maybe about 4 years ago. I'm 30, so when I was 26, you know, I have a child, and I thought it was important that my son knows his biological father. So I went to Facebook and I started searching, and all the details, the internet, Google. So I was able to find my biological father's family. So from there, reached out to them, explained to them who I was. They welcomed me with open arms, and then I ended up finding him. So I went to Philadelphia, got on the flight, went to Philadelphia. At first I went by myself. And when I went there, sure enough, my father was in the same exact spot that he was when I was 8 and when I was 11, and so on and so on forth. And at that point, it was evident that he was on drugs. And I, did my best to clean him up, change him around, because I didn't want my son to meet him in that condition. So I got him a cell phone. I got him a cell phone so that we can, talk and start from there, right? So went back home. My dad and I started talking daily, building a relationship, and I thought everything was great. Then I started talking to my brother, start talking to his family, and on Thanksgiving, I invited my dad's whole side of the family to my house so that I could get to know them. Met a lot of aunts, uncles, cousins, nieces. For me, because growing up in foster care, I never had a family, or I never felt like I belonged. It was very important that I, once I discovered this whole large family, I was just super excited. I was like, oh my gosh, I belong to something, right? And although, I'm adopted and I love them to death, it's a feeling of belongingness that, you want to truly feel belonged. Brought them up there for Thanksgiving. Everything was fine. But the more and more I've interacted with my father, the more and more I started to notice I wouldn't say the love was genuine. I would say it was based on what I had now. Because what was very strange to me was he was in the same spot. He knew people that knew me, that if he wanted to get in contact with me, he could. But he didn't. But, once it was evident, like, okay, Michelle, she made it, things like that, I would bring him to my house, and I would, I don't know, like, this is real. It's just, as I'm recording it, I'm processing it, and I just realized that a lot of my issues stem from my parents. And although I knew who they were, I don't think it's like you have, I don't know, it's just, I started to feel used. I started to feel like, he was only in my life for what I could do for him. And the things that he can benefit. Prime example, this past year, I planned this whole family vacation for, my family, my biological family, invited everybody, and, I just bought a house, so I couldn't, pay for things like I would normally pay. So, people started dropping out left and right. I got a shirts made that said, Henderson Family Vacation, all of those things made. And I just told everybody, hey, I paid for the room, the food, everything. Y'all just gotta make sure you get your park tickets, little things like that. And some of them were okay with it, but it's just like, my father was just like, oh, I don't have money, I don't have this, I don't have this. So here I am buying everything, making sure he has it, and then, he comes, he's like, can you take me to the bank? He kept asking me to take him to the bank, and I'm like, well, what do you need to go to the bank for? He's like, oh, I need to put money in my account. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I ain't need no money with money. Gotta remain strong. Your enemy smiling in your face. Gotta remain strong.
The whole time they wanna take your place.
So I've been documenting through my YouTube channel like a lot of things about me, what I'm going through, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Today will be the ugly. Today, since Friday, I am in the hospital because I'm not showing my other side of the face because it ain't looking too good right now. It's not too bad, but yeah, I had what's kind of like a stroke from a lot of stress. And you guys know me, I'm always trying to do 50 million one things. So if I could tell you anything, take your time. Be patient with yourself. Don't care what nobody else think about you. And do things on your own time. So, yep. But I'm doing okay. I should be going home later today. I have to do some physical therapy and some speech therapy, mainly because when I try to recall certain things, that's when I kind of get choked up or whatever. But overall, I'm still here. I'm still kicking. I would let this be a testimony. All right, guys. Bye.